Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNate of BloodyElbow.com, joined once again by the inevitable, the ineluctable Eugene S. Robinson, author of Fight. Everything you ever wanted to know about getting your ass kicked, but were afraid to ask your ass kicked.
Yeah, you put it in the dumper when you got to getting.
I started thinking about you singing the wrong lyrics to Simon and Garfunkel songs,
You know,
which
I like how guy turns it around. That little verbal jujitsu. It wasn't that I suck. It's just that you suck more.
your sucking was distracting me, which caused me to
From
suck.
my personal dedication to sucking. I got.
First off, it's not in your brand to be singing Simon and Garfunkel. They're not in your post-punk, hardcore Mr. Tough Guy repertoire.
Well, I watched The Graduate last night, so
Ah.
I got it in my head. And the reality of it is, it's like I'm off of Paul Simon since I read about what he did to Los Lobos.
What did he do to Los Lobos? I got off him when he was ripping off all those South African guys. But
oh, that's around the same period, and it was enough. The Edie Brickell thing. I guess these are neighbors of yours now, right?
the Edie Brickell thing skeeves me out in a big way.
Yeah, yeah.
Big way.
Well, why? Is it the May September romance factor, or
It's the tiny shrunken troll September or May romance factor. Like the aged giant prostate gland having tiny creep with the
well,
young
I'll tell you what Tony Curtis said, and he said, "Imagine me going into Spago's with a woman my own age. Disgusting." Tony Curtis, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Oh yes, one of the
yeah,
greats.
I mean, the Los Lobos thing was, I mean, out and out song, thievery, stealing, claim jumping of the worst kind. So
Didn't they sue him? I mean, did they have no recourse? They got lawyers.
yeah, I think that did happen, and I think I don't know if you go and type in Los Lobos Paul Simon, I'm sure it'll come up. But he said I mean Los Lobos they're pretty mild guys. He said if I see him again, I will attack him. I mean that's bad, man. It's bad.
Oh, that song stealing stuff, Eugene. It's a complicated thing. Complicated thing.
I've never done it.
Never. There's a limited number of chords.
Oxbow's done a few covers: Spanish Castle Magic, Hendrix, Girl by the Beatles, and that's it.
Well, that's totally different than writing a song inspired by somebody else. You've never
Oh,
copped a line of a lyric
no, no,
or
no. We did a cover of Insane Asylum. I'm sorry, I forgot that. So three.
three covers. Covers again have no bearing on
Yep.
plagiarism.
No,
But
I
did
never
you
copped a
never
line.
never copped a line? Never started a song based on a chord progression from somewhere else
Nope.
or nope.
I called the record "An Evil Heat," but that's a line from a Nick Cave song, and it was a
Yeah,
tribute.
I see. I see. Well, good to know. But now now you're putting it out there. Could be
But
bad
also,
mojo.
I'm going to start performing under the name DJ Vice Grip. So when I start, when
Is
I
this
start
part
my
of your new, more serious interviews things? No more talking about fighting. No more talking about you and your underwear. It's all serious art, singer,
yeah,
artsy
at least for
pants.
this new record, man. And if the guys that that we were interviewed by some guy in Germany, I had to throw him out of the van physically. The guy got rude with me. I thought it
I
was,
see. Doesn't that
so,
defeat the purpose of your new, serious, no more fighting?
yeah, yeah. You brought it up,
It's all my fault.
and
Anyway,
you're not interviewing me. We're doing a show together about what?
about UFC Poland, UFC Crow Cop versus Gonzaga 2, a fight people have been clamoring for years.
Where's the fight?
Where is the fight in Krakow? Krakow, Poland. The
Ah,
first,
I set you up. Verbal jujitsu.
because
Because
you
of
know I
course
can't pronounce Krakow correctly.
it's
Pronounce
not
it right,
pronounced
Mister
Krakow. Krakow.
Krakow.
Yeah,
Krakow.
yeah.
Well, all the guys in my Wehrmacht unit call it Krakow. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, good. Ah, this is a volley back and forth. He got Nazis in the first like 7 minutes. That's good,
I
man.
know, beat you to the Nazis, Eugene. Mine now. All right. So
My Einsatzgruppen, my Einsatzgruppen collection of men.
I needed. What is Lebensraum? I needed some Lebensraum, Eugene. I had to move to the east. Drag nach Osten.
I talk to a lot of. I have two types of poles, polar opposites of poles that I hang around with, and ones are like, I wish Germany had taken over Poland. You know, the west of Poland that all used to be German towns is really nice and organized. All right, man. It's really nice and organized and normal. East, it's terrible. And then I have the type of Poles who are like, I hate Russians and I hate Germans. So
I see.
nationalist, I guess.
And where are they on the anti-Semitism question? I mean, Poland used to be pretty significantly Jewish, and now it's like got a tiny Jewish
You
population.
know, anti-Semitism. There's a book by Lucy Davidovich called "The War Against the Jews," and which is a great book. And you kind of wonder about the roots of anti-Semitism. And I got a friend who's Swiss. He's Polish, but moved to Switzerland when he was, 2. And he's like, I put the responsibility right at the church's doorstep, And I mean, you've got and European anti-Semitism is wild, man. I mean, I find it in the most unexpected places. Like a Greek friend of mine who actually no Jews, super anti-Semite. I get, a woman, a friend I was friends with in Norway, casually was like, well, the Jews have lots of money. What do you mean? The Jews I know are broke. What are you talking about? I'm hanging around with the wrong Jews, So it's strange, very strange.
It is, although they didn't annihilate the Jews in Europe the way they did the Muslims in Europe. They had a pretty strict clear-cutting policy with Muslims.
Well.
Oh, I see.
No. Joke. That's a joke.
Joke, just a joke. I can admit my own weaknesses. Unlike some people, I can admit when I've got a racial bias. And on Mad Men, I was actually. Do you watch Mad Men? You don't watch Mad Men.
Nope, don't watch Mad Men.
There's one character who was gleefully being anti-Irish and talking about the firm where he used to work and making jokes about I could read and these black Irish thugs and everything. And part of me, the backward, disowned, atavistic part that I'm ashamed of was like, yes, somebody's saying it. It's terrible, Eugene. I've got
No,
this.
the only racism that I came close to having was against when I was in New York my last couple of years against working class Italians, because every time I met them we were fighting. But of course these are some of my best friends. They were some of my best friends in life before then, and some of my best friends in life after then. And they were some of my best friends at the time because I was working out in Ridgewood at this place called the Olympia. So, but if I was anywhere but the Olympia on the street with these guys, we were fighting. So it took me a while to kind of get out of the mindset. Like, if I meet a guy like Matt Serra, it doesn't mean automatically, I got to.
You're going to be fighting.
My last conversation with Matt Serra, we were talking. He had him on Knuckle Up, and I went up with a friend of mine who's a sports agent. And he's Italian as well, right? This is one of my good friends.
This is not Mike Hogan, sports agent.
No, Hogan is Jewish. This guy's Italian. He's not Italian Jew. He's Catholic. And so we walk up to Matt Serra and we go, we're going to go to the interview. Matt Serra looks at us and he goes, I'll talk to the little guinea. It was more, that's when I was like 265. He's like, I'm not going to talk to you. I'll talk to the little guinea. So I was like, all right, let him interview you. I'll stand here and hold the mic. He's very, very funny, very funny.
I see. There is one ethnic group, though, that I am totally biased against, and that is white Protestant Texans, my own people. Fucking hate them.
You're entitled. You're entitled to.
The absolute worst, stupidest, most ignorant. Anyway, all right. Anyway, now give us a disclaimer for the bedwetters and the crybabies out there.
For the bedwetters and the crybabies, the Care or Don't Care preview, do not get your panties in a bunch, your feelings hurt, or any other body part of yours hurt because we said we didn't care about your fight. It has more to do with the marketing heft and might of the UFC and how much they put behind you versus what you've done in the cage. Get out of the don't care jail by fighting a great fight, and we'll care about you. Like Chris Colliard Greens made it from don't care to care.
That's
like
true.
Quinter, the Raging Owl.
Yes. How about that?
He was a don't care at one point, too.
And now you're devoting whole conspiracies to him.
It wasn't a conspiracy. I just said there's a bit of a bad call on the conspiracy.
Well, what did you think about the one conspiracy angle on that card was Doug Crosby's the guy who voted 30-27 for Masvidal over Iaquinta, and he's the one that's been beefing with Sarah Longo and the New Jersey Commission.
Not a conspiracy. That's things driven by personal animus don't have to be a conspiracy,
I see, but don't you think it's fishy though that the guy with the noted bias is the one guy voting your way on the fight?
I'm unhappy with the judging all around. In fact, George Masvidal had a great interview on I don't remember where yesterday, and he said he goes, oh, okay, I didn't, maybe I should have poured on the gas, but is a guy getting points for hitting and missing, or swinging and missing?
He's getting points for landing leg kicks. How about that?
He did that in the first round too. I mean, I look.
But in the first round,
I'm not alone.
Ass.
And all those people booing weren't all George Masvidal fans, because I would have heard it when he came into the cage.
I'm not alone. There was a mob of drunken yahoos in Fairfax, Virginia, who thought the same thing. Now that's a dark and lonely road, Eugene.
I'm saying he came into the cage. There was not a lot of fanfare, but people are like, "Don't tell me what my eyes just fucking saw. You gotta be kidding."
I see. Well, in the first round, he clearly whipped Iaquinta's ass, and if
you were watching that fight, you can't tell me, or you can tell me, and I will not believe that when they said Iaquinta, that you weren't surprised.
I really wasn't, because he took off. Masvidal coasted so much to the second and third round. I felt Iaquinta won the third round. I gave the fight to Masvidal, but I felt like he lost the third round.
So when they announced it, and you heard people boo, you were like, "What are those guys
I wasn't surprised
for?"
they were booing. I knew why they were booing, and I knew why the judging was coming that way. I know all and see all, Eugene. It's this. See this beard? See this? The gray patch here?
Yeah, we're going for the ZZ Top thing.
No, I'm trimming it. I'm trimming it constantly. That's why I hate beards. It's a constant, never-ending trimming process.
I don't have enough facial hair to do it. I grew enough so I could fuck up my driver's license photo.
See, you could probably grow one of those wispy Fu Manchu things like I fantasize about if you wanted to.
You're saying you're fantasizing about me growing a Fu Manchu?
No, I'm saying I fantasize about having a Chinese-style Fu Manchu that's like
that's not what you said. That's not what you said.
I said you could grow one of those Fu Manchus like I fantasize about having. That's what I said. That's what I said.
I'm fantasizing about you, Eugene, with a mustache and a motorcycle.
Eugene with a pair of sideburns and
a motorcycle.
Next week he'll grow it out long and twist it. Oh my God! Yes, that is stupid. Sick. There probably are people out there wanking it to stupid. I told you about my friend who had the peeper that would wank to watching him type, right? Goes on just.
Hey, at that point you go, man, whatever, Jag. I got work to do. If it makes you happy, go ahead.
I know that's how I would feel too. I'd be like, hey man, could you leave a dollar on the ground out there or something?
That's right. And if you haul it in, haul it out. Don't leave anything around there for me, please.
Let's make it a win-win. All right, let's get to the fights, because there's going to be a lot of don't cares to run through on this Jet card. We've got an unbelievable 8 fights on the UFC Fight Pass prelims, and then 4 fights on the UFC Fight Pass main event. So they're making you switch streams in the middle of the event, really for no good reason. But first up, featherweights Taylor Lapilus versus Rocky Lee.
Do not care.
Dude, even though Rocky Lee sounds like he could have been like a 50s R&B guy, like
or rock.
I mean, come on, if somebody came to you tomorrow, some hipster, some guy you've traded records with in the past, and he had a bunch of like really salty old 45s and was like, dude, you know Rocky Lee, man? If you think Hazel Atkins was crazy, the Cramps wanted to cover Rocky Lee, but it was too come on, don't tell me you wouldn't be intrigued.
No, Snatch and the Poontangs. Now, Snatch and the Poontangs are great.
I see. You're not a Hazel Atkins man?
No, actually, yeah. Well, no, not really.
No, not really. Huh, I see. Did you ever see him, the one-man act?
No,
crazy. Oh, dude.
My music going. You get my first big concert was the Plasmatics.
You've talked about your love for the Plasmatics. Endangering your hip credentials every time you bring it up, dude.
Come on, you're crazy.
They were terrible, terrible. Corporate fake.
I'm gonna walk off this show.
Over Wendy O. Williams.
The Plasmatics. They were great, man. It was the craziest show I have ever seen.
To this day, huh? Well, the records were terrible. You gotta admit.
The production was terrible.
Songwriting maybe was also.
Hey, if you find a better song from that period than Sometimes it's a great love song, man. It's great.
I'll have to give it another listen, just out of respect.
Sometimes I feel like when you're down on your knees, it's great.
Well, maybe I'll give it a chance. All right, so he doesn't care about Rocky Lee, even with the 50s underground R&B angle.
Do you?
No. I've already got all the Charlie Feathers records. What do I need with another R&B guy? All right, lightweight Marcin Bandel versus Stephen Ray.
Do not care.
No, me neither. All right, women's strawweight, Isabella Bajirek versus Alexandra Albu.
Do not care.
Me neither. All right, heavyweight, Daniel Omielanczuk versus Anthony Hamilton.
I care.
Because
One, I care. I care
jiggling
about
fatties thundering across the octagon.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I
care.
had somebody actually request jiggling that I repeat jiggling fatties. I believe
Yeah,
that.
I watched somebody put a clip up of some heavyweights going at it, and it was like they were swinging, knocking down each. It was like they were trading off knockdowns. It was like 4 knockdowns in the space of 30 seconds, and I was like, there is sort of a freak factor, but I sort of feel like who is it? Who am I thinking of? Yates. Talking about the second coming and this beast slouching toward Jerusalem. And I think somewhere in a near distant future, they will emerge a heavyweight. And we've had glimmers of this where that guy comes up over the crest of the hill and you go, oh my God, this could be the guy. This could be the Messiah, the new Messiah.
Todd Duffy. Todd Duffy.
No, I'm thinking I'm going back a little bit. Shane Carwin, the way you've.
Oh, yeah, Shane Carwin seemed like he was for real. Then he crossed Kid Nate, and his career never caught up.
Or I was. I can't tell you about the kind of pride I felt in Brian DeSouza's.
Let's not start on this shit. Oh my God, I had to get on the phone with Ariel Helwani about that crap yesterday. So
why?
Because he was saying he was with Bloody Elbow. Look, I don't care for the way D'Souza conducted himself at the press conference. I think the question was fine, the way he asked it, not so much. His credentials were not for Bloody Elbow. He was there for Chill Magazine. He asked me if I wanted some pieces. I said, hey, if you get something interesting, maybe. I didn't say, hey, go identify yourself as Bloody Elbow and make a big ass of yourself. And so then and then I'm like, don't ask any more questions, and no, I'm not paying you for this. And it wasn't motivated by anything but cheapness. I'm like, fuck this. I can spend $75 not giving myself an ulcer. So anyway, thanks for bringing it back up.
Why was Helwani on the phone with you?
Because he brought it up on his show, and he was all hurt because Bloody Elbow was sponsoring the guy. And I'm like, the guy's not with Bloody Elbow. He's never written for us. He guested on a couple of shows. I liked his book. Sue me. I liked his book.
What book did he do?
It's the best book on MMA management. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember what it's called, and I'm not going to look it up now. But it's look it up. Brian D'Souza on Amazon. It's a book. He talked a lot to GSP's managers, all of them, and it's the best book on the MMA business I've read. Come
on, you can't tell me that wasn't a great bit of video.
It was a great bit of video. I would love to have run it. MMA Mania, my SB Nation colleagues had a great time running it and putting Bloody Elbow Reporter all over the fucking thing. and you know what made me mad is those fuckers never run our videos right. They never run SB Nation Network videos in the way that maximizes our money.
Right.
And these are smart cats. Like MMA Mania didn't just happen by accident. They know exactly what they're doing at all times. This fucking video from USA Today, they run exactly right. I mean, it was like the thumb, the toothpicks were shooting under my fingernails. It was.
you know, I could hear them saying, Nate, this actually hurts me more than it hurts you. What did he call him? How many times did he call him a dick? And then shut up. That was just great. I'm sorry to bring it up again.
You're not sorry. Don't even pretend.
Not even a little bit. You know what? I wish he had taken that last and final step and said, "Hey, tough guy, here I am."
D'Souza's somebody. He's not even any bigger than me. I mean. Dana's at least a former jazzercise instructor. So
did you get it across? Did you get it across to Helwani that he wasn't Bloody Elbow?
I did.
Right.
I did. So I mean, but not that he's going to bring it back up and clarify it on the show. But anyway, and
well, he'll let the bald guy know. That's all.
I doubt it. I told Dave Scholler, so
Okay.
But anyway, and see, that was the other thing is we had a guy there, and Zuffa then thought. Because there was only one guy there under the Bloody Elbow credentials, and it was not Brian D'Souza. Then they thought it was our guy, which was totally unfair. So, anyway.
Well, there you go.
And I had told the kid, don't put Bloody Elbow on anything you send to Zuffa. They hate us. He just didn't understand. Anyway, all right. So.
Well, they hate you even more now.
It's just like, It's like I pissed off my ex-wife. It doesn't really matter, you know. Like, yeah, you know, like it's not like she's gonna hate me anymore. All right, so
You mean she's already maxed out on how much she hates you?
probably not maxed out. I admit it. I wasn't that shitty a husband, but I wasn't a very good husband, and she said some horrible things about me in public since then. So
Why? I can't imagine you were a bad husband.
How many times have you been married and divorced, Mr. Robinson?
I've only been married once before.
Only one marriage and divorce.
Yeah.
Huh? I see. Well,
Hard to believe, right?
It is. I assumed the way you talk that you'd, been down the ring 2 or 3 times.
No. I make good decisions.
I see.
I make good decisions badly, or bad decisions well.
I see. The way you flagellate yourself, it's like you cuckolded a bass player at one point and you never forgiven yourself. I mean,
What are you talking about?
you're always going on about how you betray everybody, so I just assumed that somewhere there was some bandmate who, that you...
No.
No, I see.
Oh, the bass player was a guy who worked for me.
So you cuckolded a guy who worked for you?
Yeah, he lived at my house and he worked for me.
And his wife lived in your house too?
No, they had broken up, technically.
Ah, I see. Well, in that case, I think all's fair.
Yeah, that's right. She gave me her phone number, and I asked him first. I went and said, hey,
that was a gentlemanly thing to do. So why all the beating yourself up about betrayal?
Well, I'm not beating myself up. I'm not beating myself up over betrayal at all. I'm luxuriating in betrayal. There's a big difference.
Because I had a whole riff worked out about how, come on, man, fucking the bass player's girlfriend is like, that's not anything. I mean, everybody fucks a bass player's girlfriend.
You come to it with this Judeo-Christian thing of like, oh my God. No,
Judeo-Christian?
I'm like, yeah, okay. And then that other time.
I see.
No, I'm not. See, the difference is between, a woman asked me once, what's the difference between you and a scumbag? And I said, well, scumbags are sneaky. I'm not sneaky about it. You know the number. I said to a guy once, if you keep coming around here with your girlfriend, I'm gonna fuck her, And he was like laughing, and everybody's laughing, but she wasn't laughing, and I wasn't laughing.
Did he come back around?
Yeah, and each time she came, it was like she's wearing fewer and fewer clothes. I was like, come on, man. I'm giving you
even an Earl Flynn story where Earl Flynn had some acquaintance who was like fucking some young married girl and breaking hearts and causing a lot of trouble. And Earl cornered the guy in a party in front of a couple other dudes and was like, hey, asshole, you, cut it out. Stop it. You talk to that girl again, I'm going to fuck your wife. Everybody's going to know I fucked your wife, so don't do it anymore. Yep. And everyone was like, well, if Earl Flynn wants to fuck your wife's getting fucked.
That's right. Yeah, that's pretty much, like that friend of mine who lost his girlfriend to fucking Prince, You
don't lose your girlfriend to Prince. You offer up your girlfriend to Prince. I mean,
he wasn't of the mind of that. He was gonna kick Prince's ass.
Prince, good luck with that. Prince and his 90 bodyguards.
Yeah, Prince showed up in the limo, and just like in the movie, the door opens and his hand comes out, and the girl's like, look, it's not what you think. It's just a party, cast party. And so his guy starts approaching the limo to give Prince what for, and then the bouncers get out of the car, the bodyguards stand up out of the car, and they're like, "Hood, bitch," and they drive off,
Oh, it's a brutal world. Do you remember in the Sex Pistols book, the 12 Days on the Road with the Sex Pistols or whatever, the part where they meet some 2 15-year-old girls in a roadside stop in Oklahoma, and the girls' parents are like, "Sure, get on the bus with them. That'll be a great experience, honey. We'll follow you down the road and meet you 6 hours later." Like,
so some parents shouldn't have kids, man.
You think that's a bad idea? I mean, if you were a girl like that, would you want to get on the bus with the Sex Pistols? Like, if you were 45 looking back on your life, would you be like, "Man, I'm glad I didn't get on the bus with the Sex Pistols," or you'd be like, "Damn, I wish I gotten on the bus with the Sex Pistols"?
Well, those guys were never very much into sex. So.
Oh, Steve Jones and Paul Cook were fucking groupie.
Yeah, those guys. Those guys were. I'm thinking of Vicious and.
Vicious was impotent. Rotten was an asshole. But if you got on the bus for Vicious and Rotten, you were going to be meeting Jones and Cook.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, those are the smart guys. I'm
Yeah.
clean and sober, baby. Now come here.
Indeed. So, I mean, come on. What would your? I mean, Anyway, neither here nor there. Let's get back to the fights. Featherweight: Damian Stuziak versus Yadsin Meza, a name I recognize the first time on the card. Oh, I kind of recognize Anthony Hamilton, but I don't care. All right.
I don't care.
You don't care. All right. And welterweight: Sergio Moraes and Mikhail Lebout.
I do not care.
Me neither. All right. Middleweight: Bartosz Fabrinsky and Gareth McClellan.
No, I also want to say something to people listening who are like, man, you guys suck. This show sucks. This show and you guys and it all sucks.
It's all true.
No, I want to say something very clearly. We're saying this, but we are watching the fights.
We will be watching this shit.
We're
Unlike
just saying
most
that
of
we're
you.
going into it not caring about it, but we're still watching it.
We'll get sucked. I guarantee I'll get sucked in. If there's good violence, I'll get sucked in. All right. So we don't care about Fabrinsky, McClellan, but we do care, I bet, about the headliner welterweight Seth Brzezinski versus Leon Edwards.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. We care about Seth Brzezinski. A little bit of a wonder, a little bit of a wastrel, but I think he should trash Leon Edwards, and that'll be fun. All right, now to the main card. Women's strawweight Joanne Calderwood versus Marina Moroz.
Yep. Care.
All right, me too, because of Calderwood.
I think because of Calderwood. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you get surprised. I wasn't. All my women picks I haven't had a bad woman pick since Baszler, and that was just because I was crazy.
I see. Crazy, not sentimental, not going with the name you remembered.
Also known as crazy.
I see. All right. So welterweight Pavel Pavlik versus Sheldon Westcott.
Yes, of course.
All right. Really? Why? And why is that?
Because of Pavel, I mean, you may not know this, but I am well respected in the Polish MMA community.
I see.
Mostly because of the elephant-sized balls it took for me just to start walking into MMA places in Poland and saying, "Hey, I'm an American fighter. Can I train with you guys?" And they're like, it was actually kind of wild, man, because there are a couple of countries in which a guy like me feels small. The Netherlands.
They're big. The Dutch are big.
The plane lands in the Netherlands, and suddenly I'm short, and same with Poland, man. So yeah, Pavel, it'll be good to watch.
I see. All right. And how about light heavyweight Jimmy Manuwa versus Jan Blachowicz?
Yep, of course.
Yep. And do you have a pick here between Jimmy and
you know what? I'm going to pick Manuwa.
Me too. He's going to put his brain pan through the back of his head. That's
yeah. He had a stumble, but I still trust him.
He's a guy I can still trust.
Yeah, a guy I can still trust. He hasn't, even though like I picked against, I didn't really pick against Poirier. I just said he's a guy I can't trust, so I can't pick him. It's not like picking somebody else. It's just like I can't pick him. And everybody's like, oh, Poirier's back. He's back. Nothing. This is what people who you can't trust do. No, this time, really, you can depend on me this time. And you'll be standing out at the fucking dusty roadside. He said he'd be here.
Kind of like people waiting for David Lynch to direct the next installment of Twin Peaks.
That was great. Yeah, no, that was great. No, thanks. I'll be over here with my hair. Man, that guy's got great hair. I'll be over here with my hair.
He does have epic, legendary hair. I think he's too old, and I think it would have been a waste of time anyway had he.
Well, there's a whole money thing, like the whole thing with that band Garbage, which I'm enjoying quite a bit.
What's going on with him? I have never paid any attention to Garbage.
Pat Pope, a photographer, was recently sent a letter. He's taken photos of tons of famous people, and he was sent a letter by Garbage saying, "We're putting together a Garbage book, but given what costs are, we can't pay any photographers for the book, but we'd love to have your photos in it." And he just wrote this letter, and he said, "You know what? Somebody connected to your organization had to sit down with a budget, and when they got to a line that said photo, they had to think, zero." And he goes, "How does that fucking work? How does it make any sense?" So he just said, I know it might be career suicide to put this open letter out, and I generally don't like the open letter thing, but I'm going to put it out as an open letter. This is fucked up. You're going to get on Kanye, you're going to talk about artists being treated well, and you're going to pay, keep in mind, zero. And so, then garbage fires back this kind of, this kind of attempt at a jaunty response, like, well, we paid you once back in 1995. It's like, that's not the way it works in actual fact, right? I still get paid for Leonard Part 6 because technically Columbia and Sony still profit off my work whenever that terrible monster of a movie gets shown. So I'm with Pat Pope on this one. Like, we're putting together a book for Oxbow, the Thin Black Book, and we're going to use photos and say, look, tell me what you want to get paid. You don't understand. They didn't come to Pat Pope and say, could we pay you $50 for your photos? What, 20? They said, how about zero? That's no good.
I see. And so when somebody comes back to you and says, I want 200 for Oxbow, then you say, how about 50?
No, we just go, cool, we can't afford it, thank you.
I see. And then when they come back and say, well, how about 50? Then you say, how about 25?
No, I'd say 50 seems, 50, I'd like to pay more. You should expect no less. I like to pay the people that do stuff for us if I can. It doesn't always guarantee that I get top quality work, but if I can, I pay.
I see. That's, if you can, you pay. I'm not going to make any prostitution jokes at all. I'm just not even going to. I told you that was Sam Cooke's undoing, didn't I? I read the big fat Peter Guralnick Sam Cooke book.
You did. I've been in some hotels, and I was in some hotel, and this guy was coming out with these two women, and the women gave me a look as I was going in, and it was clearly a professional identification look.
I see.
And I
thought you were also in the sex business, or what?
Yeah, it was pretty clear to me that.
Huh? They thought you were what? Gigolo?
I didn't want to think about it too long because I knew it was going to depress me.
I see.
They either thought I was working.
Just because you're black, they think you're a pimp. Is that what you're?
I'm not even saying that.
I see.
I could have been the other, that I was, on the job too.
I see. Like Dee Ramone, the one they never pick.
Yeah. Well, what's funny?
I never believed that. Do you think Dee was really the one? He was a pretty guy. I bet he wasn't the one they never picked.
Yeah, but that punk rock style back in 1976 might have been kind of off-putting to people.
Yeah.
We were now 40 years into being used to it. But
how did Richard Lloyd of television never catch the HIV? How? Gay hooker, junkie.
Well,
in the 70s and 80s,
look, Jim Carroll didn't get the HIV either.
But he wasn't. I guess he was a junkie and did some tricks. Okay, never mind.
Well, he was a pitcher, not a catcher.
I see. You think that's what it all comes down to? Actuarially, it kind of does.
Yep.
Anyway,
there was one guy who had sex with over 5,000 prostitutes in New York, and he was one of the few cases of female to male transmission of the HIV virus, and they couldn't figure
Magic
out.
Johnson.
Yeah, well, the Magic Johnson thing is a little bit different. I could tell you about that, but
oh yeah, you think there was some X on XX chromosome?
No. But
XY.
Magic Johnson wants you to, people will say, oh, Magic Johnson must be gay. Magic Johnson said I absolutely wasn't gay. Magic Johnson, having worked with the man, I would say that Magic Johnson was not gay, but Magic Johnson wasn't having sex. If you're at a gangbang, if you're at a group sex scene, you are.
You're drinking after the whole party. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I tell you, at one point, how about, let's just say it like this: a friend of mine.
A
friend of mine was at a group.
Did this friend go to Stanford and grow up in Brooklyn?
I don't know. But anyway, a friend of mine is at this group sex thing, and he gets up to go. By
the way, I'm shocked. Okay, go ahead.
He gets up to go to the bathroom, and he slips.
Oh.
And the first thought he has is, oh, somebody spilled something on. Oh, God.
Onan spilled his seed upon. That's why God hates Onan.
Yeah. He went in the bathroom.
Flip-flops at the swingers party,
Actually, at that point, you need flip-flops at the swingers party. He ran into the bathroom, put his foot in the sink, and washed it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's. I stayed at this place in London on my honeymoon, my first honeymoon, that we called the Manky Packy, which is also an ethnic slur, and I apologize, but that's where we were at the time. See, I've learned, I've moved beyond. But it was like this tiny little hotel in a nice part of London, and the room across the way from us, I swear, the room was like the size of a king-size bed, and the room
Yep.
across the way was the same size. I swear there were 6 pairs of men's shoes outside the door of the next room, and they were making that noise, that ay noise, like
Uh-huh.
all fucking night long. And then the shower, the communal shower we had to use, I've never cursed myself for not having flip-flops so much.
Oh, ho, ho, ho,
That's when I
ho,
stepped into
man.
the shower.
If you were a guy in a touring band, you would know. Flip
Oh,
flops everywhere you go.
I learned that when I toured with bands. Yes, I had my flip-flops. On
Or,
my
or,
honeymoon in what I
or,
thought was a nice hotel
or,
in London,
or you get in the shower first.
in this case it was impossible to get in the shower before that crew
It's
of
like I had another friend who was a fan of the prostitutes. He would try to make sure he was the first appointment of the day.
I see. What scruples? What scruples? I had another friend whose degenerate kink was he
And
likes
we have lots of friends, I notice.
I noticed we just get around. But this sicko's kink was, and he told people this, and that was why I was like, dude, you cannot just own this, asshole. Like, this
Right.
is appalling. His kink was to seduce girls and have regular relationships and pay them for something sexual. And I was like, why are you doing? I just get off on paying women for sex. Why are you doing it? He's like, well, because once they take money once, they're gonna take money again.
Friend.
Huh?
Think we have the same friend. He says, actually, my friend says he doesn't like giving the money. What he really likes is haggling.
That's the old George Bernard Shaw witticism, of course.
Oh, is it? I read Man and Superman, and then I got lost track.
I see. You don't know this one? That's attributed to Shaw. I don't know if it's actually him, but he was at some fancy dinner party, and he turned to a woman and said, would you sleep with me for $1 million? And she said, of course. And then he said, would you sleep with me for $1? And she says, no, what do you think I am? And he says, we've already established what you are. Now we're haggling.
That's right. That's a great line. That one. I didn't realize he had said that. That's great.
No, I think it's misattributed to him.
Yeah.
That's one of those, Abraham Lincoln said you can't trust anything you see on the internet kind of deal. So, anyway.
Or Harry S. Truman. You can trust any man as long as he's not a nigger, a chink, or a kike.
That's a charming statement from.
He actually said that though. So
really?
Hey, give him hell, Harry. Yes. or Ulysses S. Grant with "I've been fucked and I can feel it." That's another good one.
That's a good one. Now I'm not going to defend Harry S. Truman, but Ulysses S. Grant, I'll stand by. That guy was a righteous dude. All the bad president stuff.
And he was fucked.
Many a time. Many's the time.
Yeah,
yes. And he could feel it. Something he learned in boarding school. Anyway, all right, so let's struggle to the menu. Actually, we talked about Manoa Blakovich, right? So
yep.
Manoa all the way. And is Manoa ever going to get a visa to come to the U.S.?
I don't know.
Like, ever wonder why the dude's never on any American cards? Because, anyway. All right, so the main event, the one we've all been waiting for. Remember all the times we said, man, I wish the UFC would re-sign Cro Cop so we could answer all those questions unanswered by the first Cro Cop Gonzaga bout. You forgetting this? Is this slipping?
No, man, it just makes me feel fucking bad. It's just,
Don't you wish this was the shitty fight that was on Bellator?
It might as well be. I mean, I'll tell you what. If you're excited about this, get on the comments and explain to me why. Because I'm not, man.
Maybe they're Serbian and they want to see Cro Cop get killed again.
I would accept that as an answer. Yeah. That's about all I'm accepting as an answer. This is like just torture. Torture. It's personal torture. I mean, I guess you missed his last, I mean, everything from the look in his eye to, it just...
Remember how terrible the Frank Mir Cro Cop fight was?
Man. You guys are forgetting. It's like when people lionize Muhammad Ali. It's like, yeah, Muhammad Ali was great, but I saw those last few fights,
that
man.
Larry Holmes Muhammad Ali fight was sad.
Yeah. This is not, so when you're all waking up on Sunday morning feeling bad, you remember that I told you so.
I see. Our yokels are probably going to be thrilled and having a fine time, like just no matter how horrible it is.
Oh my God! I think about their first fight, and the torture is I got to watch that clip again and again as they build up to this, Now, and what's the tagline? Now it's revenge, or what is it?
I haven't even paid any attention. I didn't even know they were advertising this crappy card, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. This thing is just. I think Coker snookered them because he spooked them with the Tito Ortiz Bonner numbers, and now they've gone out and signed CM Punk, Crow Cop. They got into this whole Rampage debacle. I think he was like, you know, fuck you. I can scrape up Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice, like, you know, whatever. Like, if it's a race to the bottom, you're
Yep.
not gonna, you know,
You're
all
not
you're
gonna
doing is
beat us.
yeah,
Yeah.
all you're doing is sullying your own brand. So, you know, have at it. You
Yeah.
know. Anyway, and now I've got another racist diatribe. What's up with Croatia, Bosnia, and Serbia? These people are ethnically identical, Eugene, and yet they've managed
Oh
to
no, no.
parlay that.
I spent an afternoon, like I was in, oh man, where was it? I was in somewhere over there. It'll come to me. I mean, maybe I was in Slovenia, and the guy who was promoting the show, he and his girlfriend, um, she's a DJ Filippa is her name, and she was from one of those countries, and she just gave me the breakdown, going back about 500 years, fishing rights, who killed who, half of 250 years ago, and then the horror was the guy who brought over the food. She started talking about this because the guy who brought over she was Croatian, but he was Serbian, and she ordered the food, and this whole exchange happened over the head of the stupid blind American who had I couldn't hear the language difference. Oh, this was in Austria. So she had moved. Her husband was Austrian. She had moved to Austria, and so this is just some kind of imbus, and the guy is running, and there was this like weird. All of a sudden, I couldn't understand the language, but I was in the midst of this weird. I could feel the hostility, and I'm like, "Fuck! Now I got to eat this food." She goes, "It's okay. You're American." She knows you're American. He's probably not going to do anything to your food, but she kind of very carefully picked through her food, and her Austrian husband was like, "Yeah, my food's fine." But so much like the Middle East, that shit's never gonna be okay. The Balkans will never be okay. Trust me.
No, they won't. But isn't it pathetic? Like, you talk about like, different data that countries that are more ethnically homogenous get along better and have, are more willing to have welfare systems and blah blah blah. And
Bullshit.
it's true.
These are people who don't want to trundle headlong into lifelong pessimism. That's who we're talking about. That's who those people are. Forget this.
Perhaps, but I just find it tragic that the Balkan people have found so much to fight over when there are no genetic differences between them, differences between what religion they practice and what alphabet they use, and that's it, and that turns into
they're language differences. There's slight language differences, and
they speak the same language. Croat and Serbian are mutually comprehensible. They just use different alphabets to write it. I mean,
and accent-wise, she knew that she was Croatian. And the fishing rights is a big thing apparently. You got to sit and look at the map and look about exit routes to the sea and so on. So it's a mess.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's not reasons for all the different. I think all the sides have plenty of grievances against the other sides.
Yep. Well, there's that great story about the guy who shows up at a door. Older guy. He goes, older. He's in his 30s, his 40s, and he says, "Hey, are you, so and so Ilyich? Yes. The son of so and so? Yes. The grandson of yes. The great grandson? Yes. Pulls out a gun and shoots the guy. Just wanted to make sure. Apparently, his great grandfather had transgressed against the family some 135 years ago, and the guy was like, "Fuck this."
Man, I mean, blood feuds. The thing with blood feuds, they never end and nobody wins. That's
what?
Why
A friend of mine got robbed by one of the Hatfields from the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Yes.
And he ended up in Lodi, New Jersey, and sold her a car. Right. So he sells her a car, and then her
the same one who had robbed him.
No. He sold her the car, and then he stole the car back.
Oh.
And then she calls the police, the car is stolen, and then she finds the car 2 blocks from her house in perfect working condition, except the car stereo was gone. So clearly, he sold the car and thought, shit, I really want that car stereo. Came, stole it back, took the car stereo out, and then took it back.
I see. But he had first
Hatfields.
been wronged by the Hatfields.
What's that?
First, he had been wronged by the Hatfields.
No, this is a woman.
Tie this back into the Hatfields. How did the Hatfields come in? Oh, she bought a car from one of the Hatfields.
Yeah, so this is just.
I see. And then he sold it. Wow.
Even many generations removed, contentious, fractious,
grifty,
fucked up individual. So
I see. Well, that whole Hatfield McCoy thing was a civil rights proxy war. A Civil War proxy.
Civil War proxy war, yeah.
Yeah. So was the Lincoln County War. I don't remember who's on what side.
Okay, there's a book out on it recently that came out. I was tempted to see it or read it, but.
Well, Anyway, neither here nor there. I think we've wandered all over the place. Do we care about Crow Cop and Gonzaga?
That's the thing. I do care about Crow Cop and Gonzaga, but it's gonna be like going to I'm gonna be watching it like this, like how you watch horror movies sometimes, like if you're, man, I feel like the guy in Aliens. I got a bad feeling about this, Nate. I just got a bad feeling about it. Yeah, why don't you go out there and investigate? No, you go.
Yeah, never send the black guy out because if you send the black guy out early in the sci-fi movie, I mean, he's done soon enough anyway. But yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If most people don't know this. As soon as you open your mouth if you're in a motion picture like Leonard Part 6,
as soon as you open your mouth.
I had a trailer and I had my name on a chair. As soon as you open your mouth, you're an actor. And so you can tell a cheap movie because they have lots of people, but they don't say anything. Because those people are extras and you could pay them at a lower rate, But as soon as anybody says, even if the waiter walks in and says, phone for you, sir, that guy's an actor. He gets paid scale. He's doing better than the people who are just in the background doing nothing,
It's life lessons, kids.
Yep.
Look up from your bath salts and listen to the wisdom.
Break yourself away from your bath salts. Slap the penis out of your mouth for a few seconds and listen up.
I love now that people can get us on podcasts on SoundCloud. I love to think they're down at the bus station working, turning a trick here or there, and just listen to our show as they go. Just
and taking the penis out of their mouth for a few seconds and going, hey, he's pretty funny. I mean, it's your job, We see this, we call this a callback to the Dee Ramone thing. You see how that works?
Exactly, 53rd and 3rd.
Right.
Yeah, don't be the one that never picked. Or maybe be the one that never picked.
He died anyway. It didn't help,
No, it didn't help. He OD'd on the junk. But he made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not many can say that.
Heroin. I had to go on the dark web yesterday on a piece I was writing where I was talking about
I've never done that. I was just thinking about that the other day, thinking I should do that.
Yeah, it was some guy was having problems with impotency and heroin. He was like, hey, anybody have this problem? And then somebody's like, well, what are your dosage levels? And he's like, well, I've gone from 0.2 to 0.8. Do you think that has anything to do? Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't have to know much about much, but I know if you're going from 2 of anything to 8 of anything, you might have problems,
Yeah. When I was an evil corporate scumbag, I was having these weird problems like slurring my speech, and I wet the bed a couple times, and I couldn't get it up a couple times with girls. And I was like, what is happening to me? I'm only 30 years old. I can't believe this. And I'd take another Vicodin, and I'd be like, why am I so fucking itchy? And then I put it all together. So the girl goes, I was like, look, I don't know why I can't get it out. She's like, you're fucking a pillhead. Stop with the pills. I fell out of bed a couple times, it was
I can't figure it out. What the hell? I had another friend.
A lot of friends on this episode.
Who decided to take a little heroin one time, and then he goes, I got it. I'll take it at night, so tomorrow, the next day, I'll be fine. It didn't work that way.
It didn't work out that way.
Dude had to stop 8 times on his way to work, and he only had to drive 10 miles to work. I was like, what are you doing, man? I was napping. I
Oh
don't know. It's
well,
called nodding, not napping. Big
nodding.
difference, you know.
Indeed, indeed. Johnny Thunders. That's the whole
Oh
thing.
man,
Keith Richards. All these guys.
I was such a huge Johnny Thunders fan. That was one of the few celebrity deaths that pained me. Johnny Thunders, John Belushi, those really John Candy. It's the thing with the Johns. Man, I got the three Johns, you know.
Love those Johns. Again, with the
But
anyway.
John Lennon, fuck that guy.
Really?
Yeah,
See,
fuck
John
him.
Lennon made me sad, mostly because I was a big Beatles fan as a kid, and I found out about it from these two completely heartless anti-rock and roll girls in sixth grade. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and they were just like, "Did you hear he died? That guy died." And it was, I never liked him anyway, and I was just like,
Yeah, he
But
was a
yeah.
wife-beating piece of shit.
Hey, he came clean about the wife beating though. That's more than a lot of those assholes
I
do.
don't care. You can clean it up. I'm like the Russell Crowe character in L.A. Confidential. I can't countenance with it.
I
Um,
see. I see. Well, I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I'm not like, and look at Yoko.
Hey, hence the key to Kid Nate's failed first marriage.
I never touched her in that way. Like, she
uh,
did accuse me of psychological abuse though, and that hurt.
I had a girlfriend once who had transgressed against me, and she said, "I feel real bad. The only way I'm going to feel better about this is if you hit me." And I'm not going to hit you. You're crazy. He goes, "No, no, you got to hit me." And then you kept at me, and finally I said, "Okay, okay, okay. What do you want me to hit you with? You know?" And she goes, I don't know. And she thought about it. I think she thought fist would be too much, and he's too big. Oh, what about that belt over there? So it was
She
like a
wanted you to spank her with a belt. That's different than hitting
maybe,
her.
but I tell you, it's like that last fight I got into in Maine. So I had no enthusiasm because I was still wounded by the transgression. So I didn't want to deal with this. But it was one of her belts. It was this thin belt, and so I just kind of half-heartedly did it. And then she said twice. The first time, I think she was bearing up and expecting to get that I was really going to lay into it. And then when I just gave the half-hearted thing, I could see her relax into it. And then I thought, this shit's not symbolic. You actually asked me to hit you. And so what you should say to me now is, come on, stop fucking around and really do it. And the fact that she was willing to take the easy way out while the second one came down, it was like Moses.
Was it just on her bottom, or where were you hitting her?
On the back, I believe.
On the back. I see. You got to hit him on the bottom or the thigh.
I just whatever. And I said, please, this is not the kind of place I want to be.
Yeah, that's a good call. You don't. Yeah, that was a dirty trick. Like to do something shitty to you, and then to manipulate you into doing something to make you feel shitty about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I felt okay about myself after.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Have you watched Going Clear yet? The Scientology documentary?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Their
No.
names. It's excellent, by the way. I mean, I watched it with a bunch of people who we know are cults and everything, so we weren't really shocked. But I think a lot of people were shocked that.
How could you be fucking shocked?
A lot of people are completely ignorant of everything. So
I had Ray Palutzian was a professor I had back in 1984, and he studied cults, and he got the 250 or 500 question Scientology questionnaire. And first of all, you have to know that anybody who answers 500 multiple choice questions about themselves is a lunatic. So it's self-selecting, right? But he gave it to his he covered up the questions and he gave it to his assistant and said, "Could you fill out all these boxes?" And she goes, "What do you want? Just any pattern you want, smiley face, whatever you want, just fill them out." So she just filled them out just crazily, patterns, little snakes, oranges, whatever. And then he took it and mailed it in to the Dianetics people. And Dianetics people put it through the machine. He said, "Would you like to come in for a consultation?" He goes, "Yes." And he comes in for the consultation, and they show him a coherent graphing of his questions, which was an impossible thing from a totally random sampling. And it said, "See, you can see here." They said, "Do you get depressed?" And he said he wanted to answer every question truthfully. He goes, "Do you get depressed?" He goes, "Sometimes." And so they, in the personal interview, and he answered truthfully all the time. And then finally, at the end, they said, well, they produced this fake graph. And they go, "You can see, here's the baseline, and here are your numbers down here. You need to be here." And so he was just like, at that point, took his findings and walked. But it was a pretty compelling take on. He goes, cults have a graduated system of revelation. They don't, say what you want about the Bible, You pick up the Bible, it's all there. You know, you pick up the Quran, it's all there. You know, the Torah, it's all there. You know,
Well, there's still secret teachings in all those groups.
yeah, it's the secret teachings by the cultizers. You know, of course, they have Christian lunatic cults and Muslim lunatic cults, and you know, the
Like Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross. Is that what you're thinking? Like the secret teachings, the mystery?
Well, the Apocrypha, first of all, but I like the Apocrypha, so you're okay by me. You know,
Sufism and Islam, one of the great school traditions. See, but that's all secret teachings, Eugene.
Yep. Ibn Arabi. Well, the Gnostics had it the best. They thought, you know, you should not write any of this stuff down. It should be. It won't make sense to somebody just reading it. I got to tell it to you. You know.
Yeah, got to be initiated into it. So you know.
Which is what Hitler said.
Yes. Well, whatever. I don't know. The thing about L. Ron was, I think he picked up enough genuine brainwashing techniques from various religions and cults he had studied, like Aleister Crowley's cult, that he put together something pretty powerful, and it ate his own brain. Like, he was consumed with paranoia. There were people talking about how he had asked them to kill him to get the thetans out of his body because he thought he was possessed by aliens, which apparently is something you find out on level 37 of Scientology, you know. That.
Yeah, well, you know, somebody was telling me, this physicist guy I know, he was friends with L. Ron because he was through Uri Geller, strangely enough.
Classic.
I'm not going to mention the guy's name because the guy is actually a really serious physicist and world famous, but he said they were sitting around and when L. Ron decided to, like, hey, you know what we should do? We should try to hook up and you know, I mean, Uri Geller, I mean, this was after the fact. I mean, Uri Geller wasn't alive when he decided to form Scientology, but he was telling
Uri Geller is alive now.
Uri Geller's alive now.
Uri Geller confused somebody else. What? Huh?
No. That's what I'm saying. He was recounting the story to Uri Geller about
I see.
sitting around with some famous guys, and they were trying to decide, we should start this religion thing. It would be great. And the other guys didn't have the stomach for it, and L. Ron went ahead with it. I mean, it was a scam. It was a scam from the beginning, you know.
But it was a scam that ate him. I think he believed it. I think
that could have been syphilis, but who knows?
It could be. I think he was huffing his own fumes, and it ate him up. I don't know about that.
That's a good story. And the reality of it is, you know, you have to look to the harm-help ratio. What's the harm-help ratio with Scientology?
It seems like they're fucking people up. They're taking mothers away from their young baby children and stuff, and
yeah.
Pretty atrocious shit, you know. That's the thing. I too always dreamed of having my own cult, and I was sad watching the show, thinking, you know, at this point in my life, I'm never gonna be a cult leader.
I thought that, but then the reality of it is, you're a prisoner to your cult.
Yeah, 24/7. You got to be surrounding yourself with all these evil fuckwads, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and the people following you are gullible. I mean, at best, you can feel pity for them. At worst, you're feeling contempt, so there's no upside.
Wariness, because even though they're falling for it, they're, you know, putting other people through the ringer too, and it was scary stuff. So don't start a cult. Kid Nate and Eugene is not a cult. It's just a TV. It's just
like what Krishnamurti did, which was after he had been chosen by the people of the Golden Dawn or whoever.
I thought it was a Theosophist.
Yeah, Theosophist. He had turned his back on them, had a big meeting when he was like 21. It was like, go home, find your own gods. I'm done. See you later.
But he stayed on the lecture circuit and
he did. I think it largely had to do with his homosexuality that he said, I can't be part of this stuff. But he did stay on, and I've seen some of his lectures. They were quite good. I liked them quite a lot.
I like Krishnamurti as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, he's great.
You know, he seems to be like Gurdjieff. I'm kind of interested in. Gurdjieff, he seems like a fascist. Like that guy.
Gurdjieff is because then you start to get into people like Spengler, and then things get dangerous and weird, you know. Sri Chinmoy was, I kind of liked that guy, but I thought he was also a crackpot. I think Krishnamurti was actually legit. So.
Yeah, he made fewer enormous claims. Anyway, that's our show. Subscribe to us on MMANation.com. You can now follow us on SoundCloud. Soon we'll be on iTunes, very soon. So how exciting is that?
That's pretty exciting. You can join now. You can go to read Oxbow record reviews. This record sucks. Is this music? You can write next to, this show sucks. Is that commentary? I could just have a Eugene hate channel, all bundled in one place.
But you can only you got to limit how many hours a day you can sit there reading your hate mail, Eugene. That's the thing.
Man, there are not enough hours in the day.
I know. All right, so give us
Like,
thumbs up.
I'm no ally of Quinta, man. I hear those boos, music to my ears.
Indeed.
Because as much as you hate me, it's not a drop in the ocean about how much I hate you.
I still hate creeps like you. Didi Ramone's Great Ramones T-shirt. All right, so follow us on Twitter at KidNate, at Eugene S. Robinson. You can read me at BloodyElbow.com. You can read Eugene at Aussie.com. Got another sex column coming out?
I do, this week, always. You know?
All right.
And this week I had my piece on Charles Bronson, or Charles Salvador, the most violent prisoner in England, at least, which is, I think, a really sad story, and I wrote it that way because the guys have been out of jail 4 months since the 60s, has never done anything worse than punching somebody in the face. But,
that's...
I mean, he kidnapped somebody, but you can't seriously take a kidnap claim when he kidnapped somebody in fucking prison. Leave the ransom behind my bunk. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's, them's the breaks, but that's a heavy load to carry, the most violent man in the British penal system. Anyway, so that's, did I get all our plugs? I got all our plugs in. That's it. Adios, MMA aficionados. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Eugene. I got to plug the next shows. We'll be back with MMA Vivisection. There'll be the scouting prospectus. There'll probably be a vivisection for Bellator and World Series of Fighting. Zane will be back with the 6th round on Saturday. I will not be there. Eugene will be back with Knuckle Up on Monday. Tom Grant will have Inside the Guard. Onward and upward. Adios. Take care, Eugene.
All right, so now I'm going to click the phone, and you're going to click Stop Broadcast.
I'm going to click Stop Broadcast, right?
All right. See you later. Bye.